Have you ever experienced this? You open your banking app at the end of the month, look at your balance, and genuinely have no clue where all your money went. You're working hard, your income is growing, you aren't buying yachts or luxury designer clothes, yet by the end of the month, you're left with a grand total of pretty much zero. It feels like your money is just evaporating into thin air. A lot of people deal with this phenomenon. As their income scales, lifestyle creep kicks in. Their expenses grow proportionally, and they still have zero net worth to show for it. Sure, you have material desires, buying your own place, upgrading to a comfortable car, building passive income streams, but it all feels like a distant, abstract daydream that will never manifest in reality.
How about you? Where do you stand right now? Drop a comment down below. Do you feel like you are managing your money, or is your money managing you? Welcome back. This is our fourth major module dedicated to personal wealth management. Today, we are diving into my absolute favorite, yet most underestimated topic, financial goals. We're going to talk about how to transform an abstract, pie-in-the-sky dream into a crystal clear, calculated, and 100% realistic blueprint for your money. Because let me let you in on a secret. A realistic financial goal is not a dream at all. It is pure math and a strategic roadmap. Today, you'll discover why those massive targets aren't as terrifying as they seem, and how to prioritize your financial focus so you don't burn out halfway to building wealth. Lock in because we are getting started.
Most people make the exact same fundamental mistake. They confuse dreams with goals. Saying, I want to be rich or I want to buy a house someday is not a goal. Those are just pleasant fantasies your brain uses to get a cheap hit of dopamine. You daydream about it, your brain gets its quick dopamine fix, but in reality, nothing changes. We need to learn the art of decomposition. This is the process where a massive, overwhelming roadblock like buying a home is broken down into small, digestible daily or monthly milestones. In the finance world, there's a well-known metaphor that describes the standard life track most people follow. School, college, then a massive black box or blind spot. And somehow, on the other side, we expect financial freedom and wealth. It sounds ironic, but if you look closer, this illusion exposes a systemic failure. Our society has built highly efficient institutions to provide basic education and career training. We've been trained to go to work and trade our time for a paycheck. But the mechanics of how money actually works, how personal capital is built, and the wealth-building vehicles that generate true prosperity are completely missing from the academic curriculum. People are forced to navigate this critical body of knowledge entirely on their own, usually through incredibly expensive trial and error.
Let's start filling that gap right now. Grab a piece of paper, a pen, or just open the Notes app on your phone. Write down 3 of your material dreams. Specifically material, because today we are talking about hard assets. Got them down? Perfect. Set them aside for a moment. We'll come back to them shortly. To kick things off, let's look at classic financial theory. Financial goals are typically categorized into 3 buckets. Short-term goals, things you can achieve within 1 to 6 months. For example, buying a new laptop, paying off a small credit card balance, or investing in a professional course. Medium-term goals, objectives with a timeline of about 1 year. Think of saving up for a family vacation or fully funding your emergency fund. Long-term goals, large-scale milestones that require 3, 5, or even 10+ years. This includes buying real estate, building your retirement nest egg, or scaling an investment portfolio. And here is your first scientifically proven psychological trigger. Why do most people fail to hit their long-term goals? Because we are biologically hardwired for instant gratification. From an evolutionary standpoint, our brains are not designed to think in decades. We want the house right now. And when we realize we can't earn enough to buy it in a month, we throw our hands up, give up, and blow our cash on short-term retail therapy. Behavioral scientists call this hyperbolic discounting.
the human tendency to choose a smaller, immediate reward over a significantly larger reward in the future. But take a look at macroeconomics. Look at major global corporations or even sovereign funds. The world's largest companies project their capital allocations and market expansions decades into the future, planning across generations. Yet as individuals, we often default to planning month to month, or in the best case scenario, year to year. If you want to build true generational wealth, you have to expand your horizon of perspective.
But hold on. In just a couple of minutes, I am going to reveal a fatal mistake that 90% of people make when trying to save money. It's a mistake that causes even the most disciplined budgeters to completely abandon their finances and end up right back at square one. But first, let's break down what a properly structured financial goal actually looks like. It's not enough to say, I want a house. A bulletproof financial goal sounds like this. I want to purchase a $250,000 investment property in 10 years. Now you have a concrete number and a hard deadline. This is where the real work begins, the analytics and alternative routing. At this stage, it's critical to understand that you almost never reach a complex financial goal through a straight linear path. What does a linear path look like to the average person? I need $250,000, so I need to set aside over $2,000 every single month for the next 10 years. But let's take off the rose-colored glasses and look at economic logic. First of all, if your current cash flow doesn't allow you to save thousands a month, that plan is dead on arrival.
Second, there's inflation. Keeping large sums of cash sitting in a traditional checking account or under a mattress is a massive risk. Inflation quietly erodes your purchasing power. By the time you physically stack up that $250,000, that same property on the market will likely cost $400,000 or $600,000. Trying to save raw cash to buy large assets outright is an illusion. Smart capital is built through non-linear methods and leveraged strategies. When it comes to real estate, this might mean utilizing strategic mortgage options where the rental income covers your debt service. It could mean looking into FHA loans, real estate wholesale deals, syndications, or finding equity partners. And most importantly, utilizing investment vehicles whose historical returns significantly outperform inflation. You don't need the full purchase price on day one. To get your foot in the door, you usually only need to accumulate the down payment, say 10% of the value, which is $25,000. Let's be honest, saving $25,000 over a few years is a completely different, highly achievable, and psychologically manageable task compared to saving $250,000.
Now, let's talk about prioritization. If you try to simultaneously save for a house down payment, a new car, a luxury vacation, a college fund for your kids, and seed money for a business startup, you are going to crash and burn. Multitasking in personal finance is a dangerous myth. Your focus gets diluted. Your progress on each goal becomes microscopic. Your motivation tanks, and you hit a financial breaking point where you just quit and blow all your savings on short-term impulses. That's why I recommend picking just 2 goals from your list, one major long-term goal and one small short-term goal. The large one builds your future, while the small one gives your brain quick wins, proving to you that the system actually works. To allocate your resources effectively, let's look at the prioritization matrix. Just like in corporate finance, all personal capital tasks can be broken down into 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is important and urgent. In business, these are critical risks that could completely halt company operations. In personal finance, this quadrant is unconditionally reserved for protecting your earning capacity and health. This isn't medical advice, it's raw economics.
In financial risk management, there is a fundamental rule. Crisis mitigation is always 5 to 10 times more expensive than crisis prevention. When someone aggressively slashes their budget at the expense of their physical well-being to fund a long-term goal like real estate or stock investments, they introduce a catastrophic vulnerability into their financial system. Economically, this is the exact equivalent of a manufacturing plant refusing to maintain its primary assembly line machinery just to divert that cash toward buying a new corporate office. Sooner or later, the equipment will fail, production will freeze, and emergency repairs will not only wipe out all cash reserves, but plunge the company into a massive liquidity crisis. Your number one asset, the engine that generates 100% of your cash flow, is you. Therefore, any routine healthcare, preventative wellness, or recovery costs are not expenses. They are non-negotiable investments in the continuity of your income. If there is a deficit here, this item automatically takes priority as your number one financial goal. Now, let's move to the second quadrant of the matrix: important but not urgent. From a strategic management standpoint, this sector is the ultimate foundation of your future wealth. This is where long-term investment portfolios, maximizing your 401k or Roth IRA, asset acquisition, and building dividend or rental income streams live. These are the moves that dictate your financial status and quality of life 5, 10, or 20 years down the road.
The paradox of personal capital is that these goals never demand your immediate attention on a Tuesday morning. The temptation to kick the can down the road to next month or next year is always there. But finance operates on an uncompromising law. Time is your greatest asset due to the compounding math of compound interest. Here's a compelling fact. According to studies in behavioral economics, individuals who can maintain hyper-focus on the important but not urgent quadrant build a net worth that is on average 400% larger than those who are constantly distracted by day-to-day firefighting. This quadrant is where your primary budget surplus belongs. This isn't just a savings account. You are literally purchasing your future financial sovereignty. Finally, we look at the lower half of the matrix, the third and fourth quadrants: urgent but not important, and not urgent and not important. In financial auditing, these areas are known as liquidity drains, or simply put, the black holes of your budget. This includes impulse spending, upgrading a perfectly functional phone just for status, chasing short-lived consumer trends, and buying into societal markers of wealth.
Why do we repeatedly hemorrhage cash into these quadrants? Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler mapped this behavior out extensively through his research on mental accounting and the triggers of impulsive choice. Modern marketing weaponizes our cognitive biases, nudging us to buy social status on credit or spend working capital on depreciating assets the moment they hit the market. We aren't buying the product. We are buying a temporary emotion, trying to project a lifestyle we haven't actually built yet. From a wealth management perspective, you must master the concept of opportunity cost. Every time you spend, say, $1,000 on an unimportant quadrant, you aren't just losing that $1,000. You are forfeiting the decades of compounded growth, dividends, and market returns that $1,000 could have generated for you if it were invested. Optimizing these two lower quadrants is the fastest way to instantly unlock 15% to 30% of your hidden cash flow without sacrificing your actual quality of life. That capital needs to be aggressively rerouted out of low-value consumer spending and directly injected into high-value asset creation.
Setting financial goals isn't about restriction. It's about autonomy. Goals are the ultimate catalyst for income growth. When you know exactly why you are getting out of bed in the morning and why you are optimization-proofing your expenses, you develop a healthy competitive drive and the drive to earn more. Living without financial targets, just drifting from paycheck to paycheck, isn't just stressful. It's a one-way ticket to financial stagnation. Over our previous sessions, we've already done a lot of heavy lifting. We audited your cash outflows and identified your true savings capacity. Now, it's time to merge those metrics with your vision. According to data from long-term Harvard tracking studies, individuals who explicitly write down their goals and map them out into actionable milestones are 10 times more successful at achieving them than those who keep them in their heads. 10x. So, here is your action item for today. 1. Pick 2 goals from the list you wrote down at the start of this video. One major long-term asset goal and one smaller short-term goal, like a travel fund or a tech upgrade. 2. Assign a precise dollar amount and a realistic target date to both. 3. Brainstorm 3 to 5 alternative non-linear strategies to hit them. Look into high-yield vehicles, analyze financing options, audit market trends. Establish your baseline wealth-building plan. I hope this framework helps you master your capital allocation, bring ironclad structure to your personal finances, and make highly calculated strategic decisions.
Now, let's circle back to that fatal mistake I mentioned earlier. Why do most people completely fail, even after setting great goals? Because they use a flawed savings framework. They try to save whatever is left over at the end of the month. Guess what? There is never anything left over at the end of the month. In our next video, we are breaking down a core pillar of wealth building, the velocity of savings. How to build capital when your budget feels stretched. I'm going to show you how to outsmart your own psychology, automate your wealth creation, and break out of the paycheck-to-paycheck trap. We'll also talk about debt management and how to leverage credit so it stops holding your net worth hostage. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss this critical next episode. And let me know in the comments below, what is the very first small financial milestone you are targeting over the next few months? I'll see you in the next video.